are you? And how did you get in here?
My people call me Kukunkan, but my enemies call me Namor.
Put a spear in here! Who brought a spear in here? I am queen of the most powerful nation in the world, and my entire family is gone! Have I not given everything?
You heard it up top. We're taking a trip back to the MCU to visit the king we once knew and sadly to say goodbye. That's right. We are talking Black Panther, Wakanda Forever here on Normies Like Us with your hosts. Didn't think this through, so I'm going to say Colin America and just go to a different MCU superhero.
You're not going to be the colonizer? Come on, bro. Easy.
Oh, yeah.
It was right there. I'll just be Mike Baku, because that has an M in it.
And this is Wakanda Forever.
Nice.
Hello, Normies.
That I do.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Yes. We're in. We kind of missed this in theater cycle, but we decided before a big watch it next week that we want to, go back to Wakanda, visit, the old Black Panther universe or Marvel MCU, but you know what I mean. So we checked this out. We all watched this streaming, right? Didn't anybody see this in theaters?
Yeah. No, it's out on Disney Plus now as of the beginning of February. So I checked it out on that. Yep.
Now, did not catch it in theaters as well. Also watched it on Disney Plus. We had kind of talked off pod about doing an episode then. There was just so much content going on at that point. So I am happy that we are here and we're back talking MCU, as I said up top, another trip to the Marvel Universe with the sequel to Black Panther, a beloved film. I'm going to ask you guys, have you watched it in a while? Like any new thoughts, anything from that first film at all before we dive into the sequel here?
No, I did not rewatch it before watching this. I just kind of went off of my memory. I think it's fine.
I like the first one. It's just, it has that CG third act that I don't love. But, you know, I like Michael B. Jordan. I like the Killmonger character and some of the commentary. Obviously, Chadwick Boseman, he brings this kind of like a cool like dignity. Like he's really great as T'Challa, and unfortunately, he passed away. But I do really like the introduction to Wakanda and kind of the world building there. And again, the villain motivations kind of creating friction between this more isolationist stance. Like there's good stuff there. Just the third act is a little Marvel-y, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
it was nominated for Best Picture.
That's right.
Decision I'm not sure I agree with.
It was a cultural phenomenon. You have to admit at least.
Oh yeah, that was a huge deal. And I mean,
it is one of the best-selling MCU movies of all time too. Like it's up there with the Avengers and Spider-Man No Way Home and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's one of the most successful MCU properties for sure.
As I'm sure this one would have been, if not for COVID as well. We're still coming off that stuff. Like
this one,
but we'll talk about it.
What did
I think
Colin
the big problem this one had. Yes.
Well, we know that.
Well, I wanted to ask you guys that question if you had watched it in a while. I also did not. It's interesting that we haven't come back to it. But specifically,
I didn't have time, but we'll talk about that. I ran out of time.
Totally, we will.
I was too busy watching Avatar: The Way of Water.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Told that too. Yeah. That's a tease.
But that first one, Mike, has that third act issue with the CGI effects, and obviously we now live in this weird Marvel world where the effects are really heavily getting criticized, and we know this sort of VFX effect team treatment that they have done to basically be bad guys and destroy the industry. So I wanted to know if that had sort of changed in your guys' opinion if you'd watched it again. But of course, again, no, I didn't.
I remember.
I think with this one, there's some noticeable not great effects work in this one too, and I'll say action choreography, which we'll get into. But
oh boy,
I think you should pay the effects workers properly. Give them enough time. I don't like crunch in video games. I don't like overworking effects people. Yeah, I don't like any of it. But so
you're making billions of dollars. Be better. There's also the thing where we learned about this with Black Widow, where like they basically have like what the final action scene is, and the animators are working on it before they're even like doing principal photography or like in parallel. It's like
Previs.
we already know what it's going to be. So there's a little bit of that going on with just their workflow in general. But before we talk about the Wakanda Forever, the sequel, obviously, you know, the biggest hindrance to this movie was, you know, the unfortunate passing of Chadwick Boseman. And like, if he was, you know, still alive, right, this would have probably been a huge smash, you know, like, you know what I mean? I would have
been a very
just imagine,
different
right?
movie,
Yeah.
I think. It would have been
Yeah,
a
the whole
different
movie had to be changed. So anything we have to say about it needs to be qualified with it was going to be a different thing.
100%.
Yeah.
You are so right, Mike. But it's just so interesting to see because if you guys also remember, like, I would say maybe the second criticism behind that third act issue was, well, the problem with the first Black Panther film is Michael B. Jordan is so interesting as Eric Killmonger that Chadwick Boseman doesn't really get a chance to shine as Black Panther. I remember all this talk of people being like, in that sequel, though, it's going to be all about him. He's going to dominate. He kills it in his cameos in Infinity War. He kills it in Endgame. This guy's obviously a stud and a star. Wait till the sequel. And then it's like, life is just so fucking tragic. So, R.I.P. to a hero, to a true great guy, a Howard University grad who did so much great work for them, so much charity work beyond being a great actor, and just suffered in silence. You know, just R.I.P.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I mean, we'll get into it, but I think what this movie does, being so inseparable from the real life events, having the Black Panther character die of a unnamed disease, but basically cancer, right?
Long-suffering illness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it just kind of shows like how, you know, no one could defeat him. Like he was a great fighter and everything, but, you know, cancer, stuff like that, you can never predict, and it can happen to someone who's otherwise completely healthy. It's just kind of the random cruelty of, you know, life. So
right, dealing with loss. There's themes of this, you know. So there's a little bit of kind of real life tied into the narrative here. Obviously, you know, the actor. There's a moment of silence in the beginning during, you know, the Marvel crawl. So a lot of respect is being shown, you know, both the character and the man, the actor. So keep that in mind. And the project we get is, obviously going to be way different than what we would have got. But with that being said, I say we return to the most powerful nation on Earth, Wakanda Forever, right after this.
We're back. And we're back in Wakanda. As you said, Mike, we are talking Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, the sequel to the film Black Panther, which is directed by Ryan Coogler. He returns from directing the first one, Creed, Fruitvale Station. This guy's a stud. He's great as well, right?
Yep.
Cool to be back.
Yeah, I think he's one of the best directors to work within the MCU. Just, you know, I really like Fruitvale Station and
I like the
his
Creed movies
earlier
too.
movies. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. More Michael B. Jordan, get Killmonger boxing, right? So
Yeah. But, you know, I was thinking about this movie with the real life circumstances being tied in where it's like impossible to watch without thinking about that. It reminds me of, the only thing it can really remind me of is that Fast and the Furious movie, like right after
Paul Walker's passing.
Paul Walker died, where, you know, you got that famous song that, you know, became a meme and everything, but, you know, it's a real heart-touching moment and everything. When you're driving away, they're splitting, you know, on the interstate or whatever.
I think that song won an Oscar.
Yeah.
Best original song for that. Well, I mean, it's also tied to the event and everything, you know what I mean? It's a meme, but it's also not at the same time. Like we can.
But it reminds me of that, and it reminds me of The Dark Knight, I guess, when you know, Heath Ledger passed, and you know, he's getting all the posthumous accolades for playing the Joker and everything. But it doesn't happen too often like this, and it's pretty wild. And of course, you know, it's really a challenge to make a movie under these circumstances, right?
Very much so.
Absolutely. You know, narratively, and then how do they, you know, treat the real life events, you know, with dignity. And I think they do a good job of doing that here. You know, when we see, you know, we'll get into it proper, but when we see, you know, the funeral for T'Challa, right, like doing that, they have like murals of T'Challa, but I'm as an audience just seeing a mural of Chadwick Boseman, right? And it's very kind of a weird meta experience having that scene early on in the movie.
And they really save the usage kind of till the end, Mike, where we see a small bit of a montage with featuring some Chadwick footage from his various appearances in the Marvel Universe. But really, it is, like Jacob said, so tied to the reality to it that they know they're not going to use him in some inappropriate way throughout, or sort of like use him a bunch, and the characters talk about him as if it is Chadwick Boseman, of course, with just such reverence.
And obviously they could have went the route of recasting the role or something like that. They didn't do that, but I think this movie, it's more focused on the other characters, the women in his life that he was closest to, his sister, his mother, his lover,
paramour,
his
paramour, woman who says that he was a king and a ruler to everyone, but to me he was everything. I mean, you do get sort of this huge range, Jacob, in reactions, and that is a lovely touch in a blockbuster superhero movie. That's unique.
I want to tying it because of it's a real life tragedy, but the crux of the plot is all surrounded on it's based on the fallout of what happens when the Black Panther is no more. Killmonger burned all the flowers. T'Challa is dead. Now there's the Queen, and like the nation, people are like, oh, they're weak now. We can attack. There's no Black Panther. So everything, and even the emotional stakes of the characters, is them dealing with T'Challa not being around. So it's weirdly meta, but that's where they took the story, is how does Shuri deal with it? How does this
a lot of the responsibility falls to his sister Shuri, who kind of becomes the new main character, spoiler alert, the new Black Panther, right? So of course this puts a lot of responsibility on the actress Letitia Wright that plays Shuri. A little controversy. She's very Christian, anti-vax stuff. So it's kind of at odds with the very scientific character that she portrays. But so it's a lot of responsibility now to be front womaning this franchise now.
And literally the opening scene, Jacob, is her asking their god, Bost, the Panther god, I don't know if you exist. That's kind of an interesting thing too, that she would portray a character like that.
Oh yeah,
because her whole character is
with
like
faith
super
throughout.
science, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And then she's using all the science at the beginning, like we said. Sometimes the most advanced technology in the world isn't enough,
Yeah.
And
he starts talking to Trevor Noah, an AI Mike, host of The Daily Show. Asking him a million questions. Maybe the second biggest character of this movie.
The AI, it does
He's in every
a lot.
scene.
We needed a Jarvis,
Yeah. But yeah, she's trying to, synthesize this heart-shaped herb that creates the Black Panther and everything. And, but I mean, it's a rough, thing for her character. She lost her dad, her brother, and then eventually her mom, all within the span of, this short time period. And, all this responsibility is falling on her. And her thing was mainly being scientist person. Now she has to take on the role of the Black Panther, the protector of Wakanda.
Yeah, it's like you just want to create the technology. She wants to be the Q to T'Challa's James Bond, and now she's got to run the thing. But
he has to go on the mission.
Yeah, she doesn't want to do that. But we have Queen Ramonda again. She's assuming all this weight too, like she's ruling. In T'Challa's stead, and the United Nations, like France is invading, trying to steal their shit, and they catch him. Like, well, look at these guys,
Get that vibranium.
So she's trying to rule, and they're not respecting her.
We have Queen Ramonda in this role, like you're saying, against our nation or the world, basically, as they become more insular and more isolated, out of grief, almost. But what do you think of this performance by Angela Bassett? I have to ask you, since, of course, it is Academy Award nominated, and potentially, after this episode comes out, will be an Academy Award winner from the way things are looking.
I'll just say, I think she crushes it in this movie. When she gives a speech, have I not sacrificed everything? Like, man, that's incredible. She does a really, really great job in this role. Jacob, what do you think?
Yeah, I think she does great. I mean, Angela Bassett, she's great. I don't know. you know, whether it should win an Oscar, I don't know, because like I said earlier, I didn't exactly agree with Black Panther being nominated for Best Picture. Um, and it's just kind of a thing where it's like, I don't know. I don't feel like acting in these MCU. Like, I have nothing against the MCU, but to me, it just feels wrong to like give an Oscar to an MCU performance. That's just kind of
Well,
elitist of me,
hot
maybe.
and
take, yeah.
you truly don't think any other one has been deserving because Jacob, to me,
Well, this is
this
the
is
first
a
one,
make 'em
right?
up. It
Yeah.
is, but this is a make 'em up for what I think is the most deserving of literally an actual Oscar nomination, not just because it's an MCU movie, but real Oscar nomination. Michael B. Jordan in the previous film.
Yeah.
Supporting actor, at least. Why not?
Sure. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, as far as like comic book movies, what we've had 2 Jokers nominated, right? We've had Heath Ledger, Joaquin Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, and Jack was nominated. He just
Jack
did not
Nicholson.
win.
Okay.
Oh yeah, so 3 Jokers.
So
Very good.
really, if you want an Oscar for a comic book role, you either play the Joker, or right now, I guess you have this, charismatic villain.
Be in a Black Panther movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like Angela Bassett, I mean, she's a great actress. I don't know her whole history. I don't know if she's been nominated or won Oscars before, but I think there's definitely movies that she's probably more deserving of that weren't this movie. So, I mean, I think she was great in this role, but she also like dies halfway through, so she's not even in the whole movie.
Well, it's a great performance, but I would just say that the role itself is maybe the 15th time we've seen a quote-unquote elder statesman character.
I was exactly thinking that too.
Stanley Tucci in the first Captain America.
Aunt May.
Oh my God, Jacob, Aunt May, 100%. Name literally 15 more characters throughout the MCU who have given the speech of like, "You can do it. You're anything. Haven't I suffered the most?" and then die. I don't know how this one stands out other than that Angela Bassett is the coolest, sexiest woman that I've ever seen in my life with the largest biceps possible. And that is very deserving Academy Award, in my opinion.
She elevates the material, I guess. Like, I buy her grief, right?
Yeah.
And that's like a real...
It's very honest.
...thing that she communicates. It's in a Marvel movie, but I think, she gets it across. And
that's kind of how I feel that she did a great job, but I kind of agree with Colin where like I'm seeing the formula more and more with these MCU movies. And speaking of, we can get into Namor, our villain. And, he's okay, but at the same time, it's like he's another one of these sympathetic villains, MCU villains, where it's like, oh, they have some good points, but also they kill people so that you know that they're bad, like Killmonger, like a million other MCU villains. And I'm starting to see it's like, what is this movie doing differently? Like it's following the same formula, and I think that's kind of where I have to ding it.
And you mean by kill people, you mean PG-13 kill people, which involves no blood, no violent scene of any kind, but a quick stab and a sound off screen and somebody going, "I'm lethal, by the way," and you're like, okay.
Yeah. I think that was the big problem with Killmonger, who I think was a very interesting villain. He had great motive, and he made a lot of good points. Like he was essentially right, but then also would just kill innocent people. It's like, well, okay, so he's the bad guy. It's just
so you're crazy.
Like, yeah. And I think you have to think about like why does Marvel always have these villains that are technically right, but then they also resort to violence when there could be peaceful solutions,
Yeah, it's it's comic books, I guess. The means, the ends don't justify the means, You have a good idea.
Like Namor, I think that actor Tenoch Huerta, he did a great job, but he eventually becomes more one-dimensional because it's like, okay, I can see where you're coming from, but then he's like, I want to conquer the world, and it's like, oh well, kind of lost me there, I guess.
Comic book writing is incredibly simple because it is written for children, comic books, and the usual villain versus hero story is philosophical flip of the coin. I'm one way, but you're this way.
We're not so different.
Don't you, Mike? The "I'm not so different" speech, which Namor literally gives to her, saying, "You should choose violence like me," and you're just like, in 2023, for me to be watching a movie where a character has to say this. Let me just say this real quick. We're gonna keep talking. We're gonna keep talking about Namor. I just want to say initial reaction style, just so that our listeners know what I'm coloring this episode with. I think this is one of the worst MCU movies ever made.
I don't know how you guys impression. I thought it was not very good. There's some things I liked about it, but overall it felt stale. You know, the formula again that I've seen in other MCU movies, and some really bad, like I said, action choreography, effects work. Like it feels really cheap or rushed or something at certain times, and yeah, I gotta say, like I didn't like it that much.
And we're gonna let you do 30 minutes on comparing it to another film that was released this year.
Boy,
that does it no favors, as you have said. But Mike,
yes,
initial reactions from you, please.
Well, it is way too long. 2 hours and 43 minutes. Number one, and I feel like the main arc for Shuri, and we'll talk about her too, but the way the writing is we get like an hour and 45 minutes before she actually has like the call to action. The rest of it's just like a lot of setup, and it kind of goes nowhere. And it could have focused more on her not wanting to or being unable to live up to, you know, her brother's legacy. Because like there's not a lot of her struggling with taking up the mantle in this. There's not like inner turmoil explored in the script, really. It's like one scene and it's done. But the whole movie should have been, how do we live up to this legacy? Am I worthy? Do I even want to? We don't get any of that. So I think there's issues with the script, and it's too long. Yeah.
The way she takes the herb, and then like one scene later is Black Panther already and can already like flip around. She should have
been botching, you know, two missions. Mike's right.
She's never done action until like becoming the Black Panther doesn't make you automatically know how to fight well. And like,
she could have been learning from Okoye and stuff. Like, all right, you need to learn to fight better. You're a computer nerd, okay? Like, but yeah.
Now,
so
let me just say this real quick, and then we'll get back to this movie. Now, I texted former friend of this podcast, Joe Asta, to get his opinion and said, "Did you watch Black Panther?" And he was like, "Absolutely did."
I think he liked it. Right?
He said, "I liked it."
So his Letterboxd.
Wow. I thought it was. Oh, I have not seen that. I'm excited to see that. He's been letterboxing a lot. I've been loving him.
Nice.
I said, I think it's one of the worst ever. He said, "How can you say that?" Thor: Love and Thunder, but like he listed off a couple recent ones, Eternals, all these ones.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know what? That's the thing. It's gotten to the point where, guess what, guys? I forget about them now. They're like not even my mind enough to even think like, no, those ones are worse or not. Do you guys ever rewatch these anymore?
No, and of those ones you named, I can't even tell you which one is worse. They're all just interchangeable to me.
Black Panther, Shang-Chi, all these ones that came out since COVID, the big fog that I can't see. I think Shang-Chi's maybe the best out of them. But like Eternals, you couldn't pay me to rewatch. Thor: Love and Thunder,
Doctor Strange,
maybe one of the most insane movies I've ever seen. Doctor Strange is maybe growing on me out of this list too, but also I know it's so bad. So Jacob, I don't know.
Yeah. I definitely don't want to step on the Doctor Strange memory machine and remember some of these movies.
I still don't think this is
that exists.
America Chavez exists.
I still think like the Iron Man 2, Thor 2 era was worse than this current era of MCU because they kind of got on track after that for a while. And they were really strong, and then they kind of fell off. But this may be the second worst era since 2008 of the MCU.
Yeah. I wouldn't say this is one of the worst ones ever. I can't say that. There's so many. And I don't rewatch even the ones that I like. But it does have issues.
It's been a while.
You know, unfortunately. But some of those are not their fault. Some of those are their fault, you know.
Yeah, like you said, it's way too long. If this was maybe 2 hours and 15 minutes, I might be more forgiving to some issues
more focused
that have
on Shuri doing the thing,
Yeah.
There's an hour and 30 minutes of this that's focused on that. Like you could cut a lot of subplot out, I think, in certain areas. And it's just like a way shorter version of her kind of becoming the Black Panther, and you do the big fight at the end.
Mike, Lupita Nyong'o's Nakia character, the supporting love interest of the first film, is not introduced till halfway through this movie, and then she becomes a lead character. It's not like she does not have a lot of scenes. There's enough real estate in a 2 hour and 45-minute movie that you could be introduced halfway through and still take up a lot of screen time.
Yep. Yeah, it's wild. It's like there's two separate movies. It's like up until Angela Bassett's death. There's a whole movie that plays that's building up to that, and the UN. So there's this whole movie about Namor getting frustrated and launching his attack. But that should have been your first 15 minutes of exposition. It's like, shit's going on. We got Namor, and boom, he kills my mom. Now I don't have a mom or brother, none of this. Instead, it's like we get a whole movie setting up Namor, and then a whole movie after that.
We've got a whole backdoor pilot for Ironheart coming in.
We do get Ironheart.
Maybe my least favorite part of this entire movie. It's hard to pick, but that is without a doubt any scene with Dominic Thorne as Riri Williams, a character I hope we are not revisiting.
We are on Disney Plus.
Super Heart.
I knew Ironheart was coming. I didn't know Ironheart was going to be in this movie, and I'm okay with this Riri Williams character. Personally, they don't offend me. You know, I like that she's hustling schoolwork and she made a device, but I don't like the way the armor looks, and I don't like the CG. You know,
I don't like an 80-yard police officer saying, "Yo, she's got an Iron Man suit."
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: in a world where Iron Man, Tony Stark existed and then died, don't you think there would be like a lot of like imitators trying to create their own suits and become the new Iron Man after his death?
That's what Vulture was up to.
I mean, even Shuri makes Iron Man suits.
Yeah.
In this, you know,
so if you're
a
like
lot of new Iron Man
genius,
so many Iron Man suits in this movie.
It's
if you're a genius super scientist, you need an Iron Man suit.
Have you guys ever had the desire to
all the
build
time.
yourself a suit of armor?
No, not really. Not
she
even
goes
like
from Iron Man
cosplay.
1 to a new suit that she gets from Wakanda by the end of it that looks like a Power Ranger villain or something.
Yeah. I like its gun arm, but I don't like the silhouette it cuts. It's like a weird shape to me. It's like a weird Power Ranger, but that's
It's
That's
only
Ironheart.
practical in one scene where she gets stabbed. Then she's actually wearing a suit. The rest of the time, she is some sort of amorphous CGI model.
Yeah, so we get lots of
horrifying.
close-up shots of people's heads like they're in the suit, and then cut to the pre-visualized suit doing action.
Yeah, that was already in final stages of rendering before they even shot the heads in the green
A lot
screen.
of that in this movie because we have the fallen angels or whatever that are like the
the
Melage
Midnight
who got
the
kicked
Midnight
out.
Angels. Yeah,
Okoye Denai-Garai, who of course was a staple in the last film, essentially the head bodyguard of the Black Panther. If he is the president of their nation, she is there all the time. We'll be watching in a moment. In this, she has this crazy arc of sort of losing her status and position. And yes, we see her transition to having this super, which I again imagine in her Ironheart spinoff, Jacob, she will be rocking and rolling.
The Predator suit, that's what I call
Midnight
it.
Angels.
She does have Dread Predator style.
Yeah.
But I actually liked when it was like her and Shuri going to Boston to get Riri Williams stuff. Like I actually like the stuff between them when they're, they just have good chemistry as like, when they're interacting and stuff. So that stuff was good. And I just feel like, it really should have centered. I mean, it did center on Shuri, but it should have really more. It's almost an ensemble that like tries to make Shuri the main character, but it's also got all these other characters.
Can't decide.
Yeah. And I feel like
it's
it was
like
more kind of focused on Shuri.
Yes.
That
again, she's a
side
character that was thrust into this main role now and kind of has to carry this movie, and she might not be up to it. I don't know.
We'll see. Yeah, but it's it's not unprecedented. Shuri taking over as the Black Panther. Everybody predicted, that's just the easiest way to do it. They're not going to recast, which they didn't. So we all kind of predicted that this would happen. But yeah, maybe they did try to balance her screen time out with all these subplots because they didn't necessarily trust her to carry it all.
Yeah.
Which ends up hurting the product in the end, I think.
But listen, should we talk more about our villains, Namor and the Talokan, the ancient Mayans who live in the water?
Yeah.
Ukul Khan, who is known
the winged
as
serpent god.
Namor, the boy without love, or the boy who...
El Niño no Amor.
Sin Amor.
So
he just... Nino Sin Amor.
Yeah, Namor. I don't have no love for the surface people. Yeah, so we learn his origin. Again, he was born underwater. He's got powers and stuff. And then
his people were colonized by the Spanish conquistadors, right? And when in the water. Now, I'm more familiar with DC lore from when I was younger than I am with Marvel, but
Sure.
essentially he's like Marvel's Aquaman, basically. Like it's Atlantis. They just
I thought he was their
changed
Submariner.
Atlantis.
Well, he is the Submariner. Well, guys, I will tell you just flat out, in the same way that when we did our Captain America episode, like truly, 5 billion years ago at this point, go back and listen.
Yeah.
That when there was a comic company called Timely Comics, which is one of these things that Marvel will absorb and take away, they got Captain America, but of course they got the first character ever made for that comic book and sort of considered one of the first superhero quote-unquote comic book characters ever made, Namor the Submariner, who was exactly like Jacob said, a half quote-unquote Atlantean. They will later call it Lemurian, which is different in the comics than Talconian, which is very different and strange and original to the movie because, of course, the Mayan culture stuff is original to this film. And I found it interesting. I like the aesthetic.
Yeah. And they're immortal ancient Mayans who they took basically they have their own vibranium asteroid that crashed in
the
their
ocean
area, and this blue plant grew. Instead of a heart-shaped purple herb, we have this blue plant that they take that gives them special powers to live forever and breathe underwater. And it gives Namor little wings on his
Namor's mother did not want to take the herb. The priest who sort of put it together said, of course you should take it even though you're pregnant. The baby inside you will be our ruler, in fact. And because he does that, he is somewhat different. And in fact, Jacob, he calls himself a mutant.
He does, yeah. The explicit use of the word mutant, yeah. So that's
wow.
Starting to seed that Quantumania. Who knows what stuff's going to happen?
Marvel Comics, Namor is considered the first mutant. He is truly a mutant character in that world.
And it all traces back to this vibranium, which is kind of in the first one we see like it's hinted that Black Panther was kind of created by the purple, the heart-shaped herb, which grew from. So vibranium basically has special attributes that can make you superpowered
if a plant grows near it.
Yeah.
But everybody wants a vibranium, and that's why people are messing with Wakanda, and then they find the new thing, and it reveals their kind of world, and then they attack the boat because they don't want to be bothered, essentially.
Which of the herbs would you guys rather take, the heart-shaped herb or the blue flower? And let me ask you a follow-up question, too.
Little wings on my feet.
He's going to be a Metcaina.
How long did it take you guys to realize that they're not blue when they're underwater? That took me till truly maybe almost the movie was over.
They're not?
I didn't even realize it because there's such a blue filter down there. But you're right.
When
I'm hearing this
spotlights on them. Yeah.
When the mother's having the baby, she is not blue. When they start to struggle, they are blue. Anytime they are above the surface, they are blue. When they're underwater, they have multiple.
But they're all blue except
where
for
Namorita is not blue, not under the water. That's the very weird thing about it.
Okay. Interesting. Well, certain, I don't know if blue is one, but certain pigments from sunlight, they don't penetrate that far deep underwater. So if you had let's say a red shirt and you go deep enough, it'll be green because just that,
right.
The way light waves work.
I'll just say this. If you ask me what my favorite almost 3-hour movie that involved blue people that do stuff underwater and fight the colonizers, I would not say this movie.
That have whales, that have perfect water visual effects. Because let me just say this before we go into your rant. The visual effects in this film, the fact that Mike just said that comment about the water filtering, the light rays as you go
frequencies,
down. And yes, there is this throw-off line of, what's even light down here? Oh, there's lava up there. Or larvae that, give off light, bioluminescence.
Mm-hmm.
This film takes what you said, Mike, to heart so much that almost every scene of the film is unwatchably dark. That truly, there were 5 times I paused this movie and went, I think my TV settings are fucked up, or I tried to move my curtains. I tried to turn the lights off in my room. Unwatchable.
Had the same experience. I was watching in the middle of the day, so it was sunny out. I was like, is the sun shining on my TV too much? Because I can't see shit.
And that's, Jacob, that's fine for this underwater stuff if that's their aesthetic. It's not. They shouldn't be choosing that. That's fine if in other scenes you can see stuff. The funeral scene of Ramona around the fire that's supposed to be this beautiful, touching moment. I can't see fucking shit. Namor comes out for this huge climatic
appearance
speech.
of Namor. I can't see him.
Look at this He's literally commenting on the scenery. I look around, I see the most beautiful place I've ever seen. And you're like, I cannot literally see what is on my television.
No.
I had the same experience in that same scene. His first appearance, like his reveal, you can't even see him. Like it's like dusk and you can't see anything.
What
it's like natural
happening?
light.
What is going on? How could you even let that go to film? I don't understand.
I don't know. Maybe it was better in theaters, but again, to compare it to The Way of Water, like the underwater stuff in that movie shits on this movie. Like the underwater stuff I didn't like in this movie because it's so dark. You can't really see anything. Like, you know, James Cameron does so much with the wildlife and everything underwater in that movie, and it's so bright and colorful. And this movie is just like empty water,
like
murky,
more. Because I've seen a movie that's like bad trying to do The Way of Water.
I guess that's the question then. This is the beginning of that. Yeah. Does The Way of Water existing hurt this severely?
It's unfortunate timing, like I said in our text chat, that this movie did come out around the same time as The Way of Water, because they're not exactly the same movie, but they have a lot of similarities, and comparing the two just makes this one really pale by comparison.
Right.
And even the action choreography, like I thought the third act, the action was like not very good when they're all standing around on that boat, like fighting and stuff. It just looked like a lot of
bad
standing in front of green screen and just like doing the lamest action scenes I've ever seen.
I gotta give him credit. You know, Jake Sully flipping around that barge as it's sinking, and you know all that stuff, recreating the Titanic. Oh no, we're gonna drown in a hallway.
JC knows how to
all
do
over
action.
This. Yeah, man. The third act.
And I mean, action in MCU has been sort of a problem that people have complained about before, and it's not always the best. And I think this is particularly bad, even by MCU standards, for the action choreography.
Like, literally, I'm thinking about more scenes at the end, like the barren desert that they use for that last action fight too, guys. Like, I know it's brightly lit, which is different for this movie, but it's so sparse and there's literally nothing around them. And the action choreography, like you're saying, is so piss poor.
No, he has like a teleport elbow, and it's like looks really cheesy. Like he launches himself with his little wing boots, and it's like really bad.
Yeah.
And it's cutting between obviously Shuri and Namor fighting, and then this boat where like every other character is just like fighting,
like it looks armies, like Lord of the Rings style waves of people. Jacob, we're supposed to be so hyped that like every tribe of Wakanda has come together to fight immortal fish people. And you're like, fuck, that is cool. And it looks like nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, even compared to like Infinity War, when you have those action scenes in Wakanda in
on
Infinity War, like that's so much better done than this. And it just
and
like
it's like
felt
literally, You're sorry, Jacob.
Yeah. No, like
it's nothing. You're right. You're both right.
No, but we have real humans in this, like dressed up in blue, you know, but then the Infinity War just fighting CG alien horde was better. I hate to say it. I like practical, but this it just didn't help. At least it didn't make it any better.
Unfortunately,
all those people got painted blue for no reason.
Even Aquaman is a better like water action movie than this.
Oh
the
hell yeah, brother!
Aquaman, where it's Star Wars that literally they're fighting on every plane, basically, is fucking awesome, and I will defend that till the end of time.
And I will also
much better than that.
Yeah, and sure, there's more whales in this, but the quality of whale is much lower than Tilikum or whatever.
No, they can't even talk.
They don't even compose symphonies, bro.
That's right. They can't even understand sign language.
They can't understand the birth cycles of the moons that I'm on or whatever.
That's right. This is my sister whale. Yeah, but even setting up like the bio, I guess it does hurt. Because Way of Water, man, it does a lot of this. Setting up a society that's water-based.
Yes,
better.
But I also want to say this, Mike. I know we were literally just laughing about it, but you literally just made me think.
Yeah.
James Cameron is so weird and specific that, like, he is brave and going, like, yeah, what if this tribe did literally have relationships with whales where they said, like, we're going to have our children at the same time and, like, raise them together. Like, no Marvel movie would ever be bold enough to put a weird thing in like that.
In the spirit of interspecies cooperation and love, we will have our children at the same time.
Yes. Now, if
Shared
Namor had
values.
said yes, and the seahorse that I ride is of course pregnant. And this is my wife too is pregnant. I'd be like, yeah,
this is
crazy.
my brother-in-law.
It's campy in a way that Marvel is trying to get a lot of credit now, where they go we are doing weird comic book stuff, but
he has wing
Jacob
feet.
has kept saying, it has goofy elements. It's trying to stay real to the source material, Mike. But like Jacob is saying, it is so down pat now to the formula of this is our second that I can think of, but there's got to be more examples. After America Chavez, where it's keep a child away. That's the whole point from the thing. Keep a child away from the villain. That, like Jacob said again, is sort of sympathetic, sort of the hero of your hero.
Right.
And it's just it's not going to work forever. And I just don't know what Marvel's going to do to shake it up.
And here's the other thing. So, the whole backstory of the Talokan people, they were colonized. And, so they have some good points, but of course they want to fight back against the rest of the world and basically conquer the entire world. And this movie frames them as the bad guys for wanting to, get revenge against their colonizers. Whereas, again, The Way of Water, the people fighting back against the colonizers are unambiguously the good guys, the heroes, right? And the colonizers are the bad guys. So it's just, again, James Cameron's not afraid to just make it unambiguous that they're the heroes. These are counter-revolutionary forces that are fighting against an imperialist regime. Whereas MCU is well, these bad guys have some good points, but we don't know. They're not.
Can't piss anyone off. We have to be safe. Yeah.
So it's just, again, it doesn't want to take risks like that, like James Cameron would. And I don't know. It's to compare those two movies. It just doesn't do it any favors, like you said.
No. Again, even the action, all of it, anything that kind of could be compared, obviously, I think Avatar's taken the W. It's murky dark down there under the ocean, man. It's not beautiful like it was in Way of Water.
Well, I would say, in the original film, which introduced a vibrant, really cool place, Wakanda, and to trade that for a place that I literally can't see, Jacob, it's apples to oranges to compare James Cameron and Ryan Coogler. There's no point in that. I'm not arguing if anyone's better than the other. But Mike, I love Creed. Ryan Coogler is a good director, and guess what? I think he's better than this movie that he made. I don't understand.
Yeah. Well, it's almost they're forced to make these sequels. Black Panther was really good. Then he's kind of contractually obligated to make a sequel, but doesn't really have a firm idea of what that sequel should be about. And then, of course, the real life circumstances totally change what they had planned. But again, it's Taika Waititi coming back to do Thor: Love and Thunder, but being I don't know, we don't really have any idea for what to make this next Thor movie about.
I kind of hate this. I kind of hate Thor, actually. Oh, awesome. I'm so glad you're in charge of it then.
So it's you can say oh, MCU, they have the house style or whatever, and they get these directors that don't always you want the director to have some sort of creative vision to make it a unique film to them. While also making it within the MCU, but then you get these really talented directors, and it doesn't really feel like it's actually made by them, or they were, kind of half-assing it or something.
No, they start to treat it like a jailer punishment.
Yeah, they get their voice gets kind of drowned out by the formula, the studio formula. I'm sure there's endless notes for things that you're not allowed to do, and that's why really creative people like Edgar Wright, he's I'm not doing Ant-Man anymore. Screw it,
Nope.
So, it's safe. The problem is probably the MCU itself is too safe. And I guess especially here, they're we really don't want to fuck it up because, the circumstances. We'll just play it safe, which means it's kind of nothing, really.
Yeah. What's the future of this franchise? Do they really want to have Shuri be the new Black Panther and be the main character going forward and, just have this supporting cast come back? And I don't know. It just seems like the ongoing nature of comic books means you can always make sequels to these characters, but at the same time, if you don't have a compelling enough story to tell, then why are you making a movie just to make it,
Yeah, and then this really didn't focus on what the story should have been.
Yeah.
She's going on a mission not to like discover what she needs to do. She's like, I got to get the girl who designed the vibranium detector. She during that whole subplot, she's not like talking to, Okoye and being like, oh, man, what do I do? They want me to step up, but I don't think I can. Like none of that's happening.
Should I try to be Black Panther now doing this? It's like, no.
Yeah. So that should have been the through line, and we don't get it. I will say the ends, like basically the post-credits scene, when she gets to Haiti, that's what worked.
Yes,
the very
Mike,
last
I
thing
would
you
agree
see.
with that.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if we should dive into that now, but there is the moments of truth that this film seems to find where it's like almost like Ryan Coogler's like, hey, can I just like turn the camera on you like while you just like kind of like feel like what's going on, like you missing Chadwick and stuff, and like you could just talk about it. You don't even have to be in character, just talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And the final moment at the end where like you see Letitia Wright, who I think does a good job in this movie, although again, like what's being asked of her is unfortunately just too much. She just can't step up to it.
Right.
But you see a human being like really just feeling something, man. And I think that's really effective. And I think that it's, again, what Ryan Coogler is good at. So
yeah, and meeting his son, it's like, that's
son.
your nephew.
What a legacy. What are we going to do here? So where are we heading with that little nugget in the MCU future? Or is that just kind of like a nice legacy?
Well, he could be a future character.
That could be a pivot in 5-10 years if we're still doing this.
A young
Toussaint
Avengers
becomes
level.
Black Panther.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my God.
When
He's
Shuri
just a little bit
retires to
younger.
just do science. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the emotion of that scene came through, right? And the movie
I think when you have
more of that dealing with that grief, I guess, but thematically.
Yeah, when you just allow the kind of the actors to just act with each other, and just I think that works really well. And even the scene when you have Michael B. Jordan come back, the dream sequence, right? When she takes the heart-shaped herb. I thought that was really good. I mean, a nice little cameo from him. And like obviously she wants to see her family members who just died, her mom, her brother, her father,
her dad.
Instead,
anyone.
She sees this bad guy who's her cousin.
Because she's got a revenge thirst right now. She's not thinking clearly.
She needs to learn a real lesson from the quote-unquote ancestors.
And I did like the revenge stuff. It reminds me of another thing, that we've been talking about, The Last of Us, especially The Last of Us Part 2, right? That's all about the cycle of revenge and the futility of revenge. And that's kind of what this third act comes to, where it's like she realizes killing Namor isn't going to like make her feel better about, him killing her mom and everything and attacking Wakanda. You got to break the cycle, so she lets him live, right?
Like, even M'Baku says, if you kill their perceived god, we will be at war forever, generationally, forever. So, she had to learn that.
It's a theme I love in media, where it's like the person has to realize, getting revenge, it's not going to make you feel better. Like your life is possessed by revenge, and after you do the deed, you're still going to feel like shit. So why do it,
And so I appreciate that. And this is the first time they have decent motivations, but the wrong actions as the villains. But he seems like he does turn around. Like, at least he seems sincere to me when he's talking to his homie. Like, look, they don't have any allies. Like, they're our homies now. I don't know if there's sinister stuff to be read. It seemed to me like he was chilling. Like, no, we're friends with Wakanda.
No, he was. Well, wasn't he saying like basically the world would turn on Wakanda eventually, and then they'll turn to us as their only allies, and then we'll be able to take over the world like we wanted to.
Oh, well, then if that's what he's thinking, then
I think that's what he is.
I thought they made friends, and it made me happier.
Little paintings.
Okay, fair enough. Well, then I probably misread that.
Working away.
Yeah. But I think, to knock Huerta, like I said, I think he did a good job in this role. Like, he's very charismatic. I do find his motivation just a little one-dimensional, though, of like, well, first of all, what were they doing this whole time? They were just chilling in the ocean, but now they want to take over the world because they don't want their vibranium to fall into another country's hands.
Right. They just a boat found the vibranium and they said, nope, we're not keeping to ourselves anymore.
We're going to go to war with the whole world.
I do appreciate the sirens making people jump off the boats and stuff. Like, that
was a dope scene. Like that first
that
scene on the boat.
Oh, now can you see anything when Atuma and his crew jump up?
No, you can't see anything.
Yeah, there was definitely some darkness there. but the ominousness of like the chanting, like the singing that they were doing was really cool.
Yeah, some of the music was pretty cool in this. I'll give them that.
Yeah. I mean, the music in the first Black Panther was great, and I would say even better than this one because they had Kendrick Lamar doing the soundtrack and everything, and it was awesome. But this one has like an original Rihanna song at the end over the credits
by Ryan Coogler.
Huh? No kidding.
Cool. Yeah.
There's like a Spanish pop song that plays too, like a song that plays when we go visit.
Namor has a theme.
Underwater Town, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Ludwig Göransson returned to do the score. He's of course the man who does the Mandalorian trailer, and just a fact that Mandalorian trailer, the soundtrack, and just a fact I always love to drop about him is that when he did that, he taught himself to play the recorder to do that.
Oh yeah,
thing that's like in the beginning of Manda. It's the best.
That's great. You know, I got randomly a recorder for Christmas as like a white elephant. I should learn the Mandalorian.
Learn the Mando, dude.
Yeah, I'll have to do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to this. I don't know if it's much more really. I don't know if you guys want to break down anything in particular before we go to final thoughts, but it just
I just think
missed opportunity, right?
Yeah, missed opportunities, and compared to it's just bad timing with the Avatar thing, because it's like when two movies come out that have very similar plots, like Deep Impact and Armageddon, right? They both came out around the same time or whatever.
White House down and Olympus is falling.
The Deep Impact and Armageddon of its days. Wakanda Forever and The Way of Water. Yes.
Dang.
And I mean, it just makes like, and again, like even the length is like, well, Avatar Way of Water is 3 hours long. Well, first of all, you guys might think it's too long. My stance has always been like, if a movie justifies its length and it's long and it's interesting, then I don't mind it being long. But if it's boring and doesn't justify its length, then I don't want it to be long, you know?
Yeah.
Yep. I agree. Like Way of Water.
So if this was a standard 2-hour movie, I think it would have been stronger. I think there's definitely stuff you could cut, make it kind of flow better.
Well, let me ask you one final question before we get to our final thoughts, I guess.
I have one thing to say after that.
Oh, I want to hear it. But going forward, do you want to see Shuri as the Black Panther be an Avenger? Like, T'Challa never really did quote unquote team ups with the team. It was more sort of they would retreat to his home, use his resources, and as a just ruler, he would provide support. But like, it's not even that I just like don't even like her character as much. It's like I don't think she would want to be a quote unquote an Avenger who goes on like missions to save the world and stuff. Do you want to see that?
And it's really a shame because it seemed like after Endgame and everything, Black Panther was about to become a more important figure within the Avengers.
Yeah.
But he never got a chance to because unfortunately, Chadwick Boseman passed, and now it's just like kind of throws this whole franchise off kilter when it's like, Shuri is just going to join the Avengers. I don't know, but
that seems so strange.
Would she want to? Yeah. We're going to move Avengers Tower to Wakanda. It's going to be a whole thing. We got you, fam. And then it's like, this is.
And she's also the ruler of Wakanda now. Like her mom died too, so she's the only one that's like got to handle all this responsibility. She doesn't have time to go hang out with the Avengers, really, right?
Right.
Now we have 2 Avenger films slated to be released: Kang Dynasty and Secret War. Now, Secret Wars in the comic book, the one I'm assuming this one's based on, not the original one, but sort of like the 2018 relaunch, right, features a huge, long simmering, slow-cooked brewing, hatred-filled face-off between Namor and T'Challa's Black Panther. Could this be where this is headed again? Will we see these characters interact again? Or again, I'll ask you one more thing. Where will we see Namor again? Does this lead to the Fantastic Four and him kissing Sue Storm and trying to marry her as he does in the comic books?
Nice.
Maybe not that, but I definitely think we'll see more Namor. I mean, the fact that they don't kill him and they show him at the end, he'll definitely be back.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it seems like a lot of...
He'll do what he does in the first Avengers comic book, Jacob, and use a magic seahorn to control the Hulk's brain and make him fight the Avengers.
Yes.
Whoa. What does that indicate? There's some fish going on with the radiation?
I would imagine.
Wild.
I like how there's this whole character in Rick and Morty that's like based on Namor. Basically, it's like a bad
Mr.
take on.
What is his name?
It's like Rick's nemesis, or he wants to be Rick's nemesis.
Oh yeah. I remember
Not that there's nothing controversial about that show right now, but
yeah.
yeah, the Avengers going forward, it's going to be crazy. I mean, we're going to have Ant-Man in 2 weeks. That's going to reveal more about Kang. I'm excited for that.
We're going to be back on some MCU stuff coming up, listeners. So think about that. But Mike, please, what was the point you wanted to make?
Well, first thing I want to say is Namor, right? You know, by the end of this movie, I was thinking no more. You know, this is dragging on too long. You know,
get this movie done.
But no, what I want to say is, right now on Rotten Tomatoes, critics are giving it 84% and audience is at 94% fresh. So people like it. Maybe we're coming to the party late. You know, maybe a double feature one day when I have 12 hours. I can.
But will you ever rewatch it again, Mike? This is the new MCU question. It's a gun to your head. What will shoot you? Eternals, Shang-Chi.
Oh God! If anything, I would fan edit it to be shorter. But I'm not.
I mean, I think Eternals was a better movie than this, personally. Again, I think I haven't rated it on Letterboxd, but I would give it another 3 stars, which is what I gave like the last 3 or 4 MCU movies I've seen. Which again, I just think it's interchangeable, where it's like, they're not terrible. Like, it's not Morbius or you know, some of the worst DCEU movies of the Snyder era or anything, but it's
Joe texted
just
that
forgettable.
BW is the worst one, and I had to Google BW
Marvel Black Widow
to figure out what it is, and it was, of course, Black Widow, which Mike named earlier. I'm shocked you guys even remember the film Black Widow.
I still stand by the Iron Man 2, Thor 2, The Dark World, Incredible Hulk. Yeah, those were, I mean, those early failures for the MCU, I think, are worse than what we're getting now.
I've watched those, I think, at least 4 times each, man. I don't know. Maybe that's bias. I don't know.
Wow. You love Mickey Rourke and Iron Man 2.
Yeah,
Whiplash gets me my burr.
Bird. Yeah.
My bird.
Whiplash. Yeah. Mike, I couldn't even do that, and I boy, good work.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, I'd rather pop in the old Whiplash Formula 1 than maybe
at least he's not trying to steal a girl and like, I don't know, Jacob. I don't know.
Yeah, and Riri Williams, of course, is the only person smart enough to make a vibranium detecting machine in a world full of super scientists and
this.
Right.
The special thing that Lake Bell describes about it in the 5 minutes she's in this film is that it can see through rock.
Right.
It's like, oh, great. Yeah, that's what you would need. Cool.
Aren't there a lot of things that can do that?
It's like, okay, sure.
But I guess it's resistant to metal detectors, so it's like hard to find because you can't detect it with a normal metal detector. So you need this special machine.
Every dad in the Florida beach would be finding vibranium all over the place.
Yeah.
Those little mind
Look,
speakers.
unobtainium, vibranium, unobtainium. That's the fake metal for me. Thank you.
Hey, man.
Yeah. Even the idea, and we'll go to the final thoughts, but you know, introducing this water-based culture and becoming like a point of view character to sympathize with this new culture, right? Done better in Way of Water. Like they really don't establish like, what are your customs down here? What do you guys do?
Yeah. No, the world building for them isn't really that good because they're just kind of these immortals that just hang out in the water all the time.
The only scene that you see in Talcon really is literally Riri wakes up Shuri after she voluntarily gives herself away, and you are truly in a jail cell where I cannot see what is happening.
No, it's very dark.
It's like this underwater cave, and then he gives Shuri a tour of their underwater city. And it's
You're
like,
a princess, you should dress like a princess.
With him. But then he's like, but also I'm going to have to kill this scientist. And if you defy me, I'm going to have to kill everyone in Wakanda. It's like, well, okay.
P.S. Why don't you just kill everybody on the surface world with me? You know, if you're into it, you know.
Yeah. Right.
We have more warriors than you have blades of grass. So truly like fish, they have just been propagating down there eternally forever. They're like lobsters that they never
But also
die.
they're like immortal, right? Because
yeah.
Okoye fights a bunch of them and they just kind of come back to life or whatever.
Yeah.
And why have they not taken over by now? Yeah. And why was it one boat accidentally knocking on their door? Yeah.
He's been down there for at least 300 years or something, right?
Yeah, he's
500.
Bad leader. You should be taking action. What are they? We're gonna another 100 years, guys. Don't worry. Like we're gonna do it. Surface world.
Well,
I'm
it runs
telling
into
you.
the whole problem of like that everything in the MCU is, I guess, like what were they doing during the whole Thanos thing, the blip, like all that.
Did
like,
some of them get snapped?
Yeah, right.
Huh.
I would be pissed about that if I was fucking Namor. I'd be like, what the fuck was that?
You surface people got half of us disappeared.
Yeah, fucking
We're
8
immortal.
years later or whatever it is, these assholes come back.
That's true.
Right. But like, why weren't you fighting Thanos? Where were you? Just hanging out underwater?
You're immortal. Yeah.
Yeah, we could have used
Selfish.
you probably.
Yeah.
Been nice.
Against Thanos would have been very helpful. But, you know.
All right, let's get out of Talcon, where we have been, and go back to Wakanda and wrap things up as we are ending our discussion here talking Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, here on Normies Like Us. Coming up, we're back. We're wrapping up our final thoughts here on Normies Like Us, talking Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. And we were just reminded off pod while we took a break there for a second that we have not talked about two characters in this film, Martin Freeman and Julia Louis-Dreyfus's characters.
Yes.
Valentina Allegra, and then his name I just can never remember.
Yeah, I don't know his name.
What is Martin Freeman's?
Everett
Ross?
Everett Ross.
Ross.
He has
Great
the same
work,
last name
guys.
as Thunderbolt Ross. So is he
Oh,
related
that's right.
to him?
Oh, huh.
I don't know. But
Maybe.
soon
Oh,
to
I
be
don't
played
know.
by Harrison Ford.
That's right. That's interesting.
And we find out, I guess, in this movie that they were married previously. Of course,
She's
we've
the
seen
head
her
of the
in.
CIA.
We saw her first in the Winter Soldier, in the Falcon show.
Captain Falcon, yeah.
Maybe
And then
first in Black
Captain
Widow. Is
Falcon.
that not true?
She was in. Yes, I think Black Widow was her second appearance.
Oh, and then Hawkeye.
She was only
Was she in Hawkeye?
Doesn't she call Natasha Romanoff in that one as well, or not Natasha?
I
Whoever.
I could not tell.
Florence
Yelena?
Pugh plays. Again, I'll be.
She's been on TV and
Mike,
left a memorable.
You are the biggest MCU fan here.
Yeah,
right
I
now.
love
You are
it.
pulling these things out. It's incredible.
Well, she's
yeah.
she's in Captain Falcon. She's
it.
kind
Yes.
of backing our guy.
That's right.
U.S. agent.
Captain
yeah.
America.
Wyatt Russell.
Yes,
That's
Wyatt
right.
Russell.
Yeah, we love Wyatt Russell.
I forgot about that, man.
But she's
I
kind
just
of like
do
a
not
bad
watch
guy, right? I thought she was
Yeah.
a bad guy, but I guess she's the head
Well,
of
she's
the
creating the Thunderbolts,
CIA now.
presumably.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And that's
it seems
what-
like she's putting together a Suicide Squad of her own, Jacob.
Yeah, that's
But
basically
she's
what Wyatt
kind of
Russell
the
did.
Amanda Waller of the Marvel world, where she's like, the ends justify the means. Like if people die or whatever, like I'm not
Right.
afraid to get my hands dirty kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we have seen, I'm sorry, some concept art for the Thunderbolts, and we know that obviously Wyatt Russell is on that. We know that Yelena is as well. Was there anyone from this film? Was there a reason she was in this? Is Namor in it?
Yeah, what's the point
I don't know.
of her? Yeah, I don't know what function she served in the plot other than to be like, I knew you knew something about Wakanda. Like,
Yeah,
that's all
boy.
she's doing.
She's just
Mike,
popping
you're
up
a
now.
fan at it. I got some suggestions for you.
Okay, yeah. Well,
I know what scenes to hit.
yeah, we'll get the deleted scenes and then put them back in of Louise.
I guess she's kind of like the
more.
new Agent Coulson, where she just pops up in random stuff just to
Yeah.
appear.
You know who I liked when they did that though? Agent Coulson.
Ah, yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't like when she does it.
Well, when they're going to launch the, Thunderbolts spin-off show, we need to remember that she exists. So she's just going
Yeah.
to pop up every once in a while and everything.
Agents of Thunderbolts.
Whatever happened to
Don't
Maria
even
Hill?
Here.
Is she being controlled
Kobe,
by?
where's Kobe Smulders?
Oh, Carter.
I guess
Carter will be in the Thunderbolts. She's doing
you know
evil
what?
bad guy stuff. And Baron Zemo, he'll be in the
Yes,
Thunderbolts.
and you guys are also reminding me we're also going to get Secret Invasion, which is kind of more about
Yes.
this government side too, and we're going to get a lot of these returning characters: Rhodey, Maria Hill, and Nick Fury.
Yeah.
of course.
Well, they've
we're going to get the
as
return of Sam
revealed
Jackson.
that they've been sort of being portrayed by Skrulls for a certain amount, or at least
How dare you, Jacob? How dare
Samuel
you?
L. Jackson
How dare
has.
you say scrolls on our
At
Black
least
Panther
one entire
episode.
film. Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a lot of lore in the MCU.
There sure is.
We can't cover it all in this
no,
episode.
but-
Hey, no.
But they
Do
try
we
to fit
want
a
to
lot
anymore?
in.
Again,
No.
it's questions we should be asking ourselves.
Yes.
Well, we will be going to Quantumania. We'll see how that goes. I'm the only Ant-Man defender, I think. I like Ant-Man.
I'm definitely going to have to watch Ant-Man and the Wasp again to remember what happened in that
It's
movie.
got Ghost.
There's not a chance I'm going to watch
Yeah.
either of those films beforehand, Jacob.
It's
I'll
got
let you know
Ghost
that.
and Goliath,
When
Yeah.
you and I go and watch this movie, how we watch these movies.
Of course,
Maybe in
of
3D,
course.
that'd be cool.
There's some better fighting in Ant-Man and the Wasp, I'm just going to say.
Yeah, sure.
Hopefully.
Well, with phasing through tables, because Ghost has the power to phase. Like, there's cool stuff going on. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about.
Put
We're
that
here to
movie
final
above
thought.
this one. You can see stuff in that movie, Mike. Again,
Yeah. Well, again, I think it's like that natural light thing that started with Eternals, where they're like, we're using like, the real locations and stuff.
Outdoor.
We're shooting on this beach, this empty beach. It's gonna look so good. I feel like they're kind of going for that with this, where they're like, we're gonna make it really dark because it's natural. But
but now we've seen Get Out, where they invented the best nighttime filming lenses. Like, call those guys and use those, because your scenes were way too dark.
Yeah, who directed this? Ryan Coogler or Miguel Sapochnik?
Right.
Dang.
Yeah, Game of Thrones.
Yep.
Game of Thrones
our monitors weren't tuned properly. That's why it looked
right.
to us.
Yeah,
right?
make
if you're at a
excuses,
theater, it would look
fools.
good. I guess I'll do my final thoughts.
Please.
Again, difficult movie to make given all the circumstances. I think they were as tactful as they could be and sensitive to the person and the memory of Chadwick Boseman. But I think the way the characters in this film reacted to it and their arcs should have been more closely related to that. And there's a little bit too much subplots, and it's dark. The couple of emotional scenes you get, with Angela Bassett and then Shuri at the end by the fire, those are good, and they have like the truth of like the loss of like a friend and a coworker for these people. I buy it, but the rest of the movie just kind of doesn't know what it's doing or what the future is. Like you said, I don't know where this is going to go, but this just had to be made because it was on the slate, and they threw it together how they did, and I really don't know what the legacy is going forward for Black Panther as a franchise, unfortunately. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Jacob, please let me go next, because I just want to expand on just some things Mike just said there. So you're saying this is a no-win scenario, making this movie.
Yeah.
And I truly want to dial in on what that means, okay?
Mm-hmm.
This is what this film has to do. This film has to be a sequel to one of the highest grossing MCU films, as Jacob pointed out, making over $1 billion, called The Black Panther.
Best Picture nominated.
Best Picture nominated.
Which this movie was not nominated for Best Picture.
Actor. Clearly they're carrying some sort of accolades thing, but and maybe some other stuff. Who knows? Original song, I think, as well. It has to make up for Chadwick Boseman dying. It has to introduce Namor. It has to introduce Ironheart. It has to continue on the threads that everything else in the MCU has set up. It has to set up its own threads. I know that everybody for a long time has said we've hit a tipping point, but it's now if you don't think we have, you're completely blind. It's over, guys. And I'm just asking. I don't really want answers, and because we're going to talk more Marvel movies, as we've said. We can answer this on the next one. But it's going to be crazy to see what James Gunn's new comic book universe makes Marvel do to themselves, basically, because the reactions are going to be so wild.
Yeah, I mean, I've mentioned before, growing up, I was much more of a DC person than a Marvel person. And of course, Marvel has been winning in the box office or in the cinemas against DC for a long time. But if you ask me, am I more excited for the recent James Gunn announcement of the upcoming slate of the next couple of years of DC, or am I more excited for the upcoming slate of Marvel? I would probably have to go with DC, just because I'm excited for what James Gunn's going to bring to, DC, and I'm excited. A lot of these projects sound interesting to me that he announced recently, and a lot more so than what Marvel's got coming in the next couple of years.
Yeah. I'm exhausted. I'm excited for Ant-Man cautiously, but that's going to be
45 minutes. Will do that to you, Mike.
Man,
yeah,
I tell you. But I think that's going to be for me the most telling point of where I'm going to be at going forward with the MCU. Will I be on board for the next phase or whatever?
It's your favorite character. It's a movie you've been looking forward to.
Well, I think that'll be.
That can't do it,
and it's supposed to be a tent pole. That's setting up Kang and the multiverse. And if that doesn't work,
their new.
I believe,
Thanos, essentially.
I believe in fact this film was the end of a phase, and maybe this next one is the start of it. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's phase 5 or phase 6.
This one is done, and all the TV stuff was this one. So we had WandaVision, we had
it was
Marvel,
it's post Endgame until now, essentially. And And yeah, like they said, they told Paul Rudd basically, the last two Ant-Mans were kind of more filler within the MCU, so we're going to give you like a really important movie to the ongoing events of everything, leading to, Secret Wars and Kang Dynasty and all that. So yeah, I hope that's good. I guess I'm excited for that, and maybe that'll get me more back into the whole MCU of everything.
And Jacob, am I wrong as well? Also saying that this is the only quote unquote phase to never have an Avengers movie, because you said this is all post Endgame.
Yeah, it goes from the end of Endgame to Wakanda Forever. I think was the last movie in the Phase 5.
And people are gonna say, what was the point of this? What was what were these films and the grand connected of all?
What covers the whole COVID era, so it was like
yes,
they kind of had to take a break
100%.
for a year.
And we've kind of set our own thread, and other people pointing this out as well. It seems the youth-oriented stuff that they are setting up these young Avengers, whether or not that's Ironheart in this or Black Panther, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess I think the thing with this phase is like I may have not liked the movies as movies, but they introduced characters that I like Yelena, Florence Pugh. I like her character a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I like
America Chavez from WandaVision.
Sure.
I'm listing off. These are all young kids. We're about to see Stature, quote unquote. Scott Lang's daughter. Hawkeye. She's just called Hawkeye. Don't say anything else. Don't put lady in front of her.
And we have the grandson, going to be doing Captain America eventually.
Yeah, seemed like Elijah, whatever his name was.
Yeah, Elijah, that's right. So it's all there.
Maybe. Eli Cash, maybe.
We might get another younger Spider-Man.
Yeah.
There's a whole universe.
Yeah, there's characters I like. But
what was this, guys? Tobey Maguire was in this phase. It's like what was all this? What did we do?
Well, I guess No Way Home was the best. I mean, No Way Home, Hawkeye, Loki, some of those shows were the best things about
these movies this year, and he was crazy in both of them. Like he was completely unhinged in both of the movies he appeared in. In one of them, he wears a bathrobe and has like a crazy looking goatee. In Spider-Man. Do you guys remember that? He's crazy in that.
We also got What If.
Yes.
What If?
What if?
We have
what
Marvel
phase?
Zombies. I was looking at the slate. We've got Blade coming up within, I think, 2024. That's going to be insane. Mahershala Ali, Blade.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely things I'm somewhat excited in, but compared to DC, where they have this new idea of like this whole new universe that they want to start, like I'm kind of excited for that. It could be a total disaster, but
well, like you keep saying, you're so biased. You're the number one Creatures Commandos fan, or Creature Commandos.
Right. We didn't even mention Guardians 3 coming out. That's the next thing after Quantumania.
Oh my God,
in
that's
May.
amazing.
And that's another James Gunn joint. Wild stuff.
And Batista.
Got paid. Yeah, exactly. We love a little Batista, but
Mike's favorite actor.
We need to bring him in the DC.
Just give him tiny glasses.
He said he asked, and that James Gunn said no.
Oh.
John Cena said no.
Yeah.
And James Gunn relayed the message.
Only one former wrestler allowed.
Yeah, Peacemaker.
It's me or him.
I do
it's
what you do.
Black Adam.
It's
not.
Black Adam.
Oh, man.
You know what? Here's the thing. I maybe liked Black Adam more than this movie.
I haven't seen Black Adam, and I might like it more.
We didn't do an episode on that.
At least you can see it. At least it has visuals that you can see. It's a big sticking point for me when it comes to movies. I have to be able to see them.
Especially at this budget. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's this new trend with a lot of things where it's just like, it's too dark, man. You ever heard of Lights?
Yeah. Guess not. Well, Wakanda Forever.
That was a movie.
We watched it. Maybe we're wrong. Let us know. Like, if you guys liked it, defend it, because 100%. I see the Rotten Tomatoes here. Maybe we just came into it late. Maybe we shouldn't have watched Avatar before we watched this. Who knows if that ruined it for us?
Again, I think it's hard to criticize because you don't want to be too mean to it just because of the circumstances of Chadwick Boseman and everything. And obviously, all respect to him. It's just unfortunate kind of what happened. And it led to this movie, which I think is a little bit of a mess.
Yeah. This ain't it.
Yep. And some of that's not their fault. Some of it is, again. So,
Yeah.
But if you do have those thoughts, hit us up at normies_like_us, where you can also rate, review, subscribe kind of on all social media across the board. Please, it helps us out a lot for the podcast. And of course, check us out on YouTube as well.
Mm-hmm.
And otherwise, we've been your hosts. This is, what was his name again?
The colonizer.
I don't want to say it. Everett Ross. All right, well, I'm Colin Ross.
All right, yeah. Mike Ross.
Thank you. Okay.
And this is Jacob Ross, I guess.
Ross saying Wakanda Forever. Goodbye, everybody.
Wakanda Forever.
Wakanda Forever.
Rest in peace, Chadwick.